Hi there, still part of the 16th day of activism, ICF brings to you Debunking the Myths series. I, Nana Aisha, will be your host, so please do like, share and comment.
Hello everyone, my name is Nana Aisha. Today we are going to be debunking the myths of GBV as part of our 16th day of activism calendar. Today with me are my colleagues.
Hi guys, my name is Mwatobia and I'm the communications lead at ICF.
My name is Mr. Issa Abdulsamad. I'm the research officer at Government Students Fund.
Okay, so now that we're done with the introductions, we're going to go right into it. So, like one of the most common GBV myths that I know of is GBV only happens in romantic relationships. What do you guys have to say about that?
Well, GBV doesn't only happen in romantic relationships. Okay, let's first start with the concept of GBV. GBV is gender-based violence, right? It can happen in romantic relationships and it can also happen in non-romantic relationships. For example, in this office, I am a lady, my Abdulsamad is a guy. If Abdulsamad assaults me in any way, maybe we have a quarrel or something and he slaps me, that's a case of gender-based violence. Even though most people might look at it as it's just a quarrel or something like that, but that's a GBV. I can choose to take up the case and then he will be taken up as a perpetrator of GBV.
Okay. Then what about the myth of GBVs only experienced by women?
Actually, GBV is not only experienced by women. Both men and women experienced GBV. If we look at the reported cases that we have on ground, there are certain cases that have been reported where a woman is the victim, and there are certain cases that have been reported where a man is the victim. So both men and women can be victims of GBV.
Okay. And I would also like to add to what he said, that both men and women are victims of GBV. I remember some time back we're having a discussion with in the office, and somebody made mention of somebody she knows, a guy who was assaulted by his friends, who was raped by his friends. So that's also a case of GBV, though they are underreported, but men are definitely going through cases of GBV.
Okay. So for that case now that you're talking about, should GBV be a private matter? Is it something of like should you just close it within the family, or should you tell the society? Because I know a lot of people tend to like keep GBV cases private. Nobody wants the shame. So what do you think about that?
So actually, keeping this kind of issues hidden, it only perpetuates the level of abuse. GBV is a societal issue, and therefore it cannot be hidden. Leaving it hidden, it is what augments the level of GBV in our societies, because so many unreported cases, GBV happens, and people tend, because of one reason or the other, maybe fear or stigma, or lack of support, tends not to report the case, and that's only perpetuates the cycle of the abuse.
To add to what he said also, why sometimes people do not report cases of GBV is shame is part of them, and family and some cultural things are part of them. For example, the case of the boy that reported, I heard that his mother didn't want to take the case public, as a result of, I don't want people to know that this thing happened in my family. But what is the consequence is that the boys that raped this young man would most likely do it to another person. That is what happens when cases don't come up and then these people are not brought to justice.
Exactly.
They might end up doing it to another boy, or let alone a child this time around. So we understand that there are some things associated with telling or opening up about GBV, but we want to encourage people to please speak out about GBV. If you speak out, then more people can be aware that this is a problem and we need to put a stop to it.
And that's what we say. Only speak out. We are here to help you.
Yes.
And in addition to what she said, from the part where I come from, that's the northern Nigeria. From my own experience, one reason that survivors don't like reporting their cases in the northern part is social stigma. because when a girl has been raped and she ends up reporting it, the parents have that fear that maybe at a later time nobody will come to marry yes their daughter. So that's one of the main reasons in the northern Nigeria that people don't like reporting cases.
His GBV is not a disease, it's not contagious, it's not transferable. So please, let's stop stigmatizing the survivors of GBV and encourage them to speak up.
Okay. So you said GBV. We're talking about physical violence. Is it only physical form of violence that is being classified as gender-based violence? Or?
No, GBV involves several forms of violence, which include verbal abuse, economic abuse. You know, it's not only physical violence, but the physical violence is also harmful.
In our story that we published on our website, on our media page on the 25th, titled Buntu Story, if you follow through that story, you recognize that the girl passes through several stages of abuse. Number one, started with denial of resources. Her father was forcing her to get married. If she doesn't get married, then he wouldn't train her. That's forcing her to get married is called early marriage or forced marriage, since she was not up to the age of 18. And then if she did not agree to do what the father wanted, the father was going to deny her education. That's another form of GBV.
Denial of resources.
Yes. Then Buntu goes ahead to confide in her uncle, who takes her to the city. Then another form of GBV takes place. He's trying to sexually harass her. He's trying to rape her. And he's also threatening her. That's another form. Threat of life is also a form of GBV. And then she goes to school. Her friends are no help either. They are bullying her. They are making fun of her because, you know, she came from the village and she had an accent. So they're making fun of her. So bullying is also another form of GBV, but in the school setting, school-related gender-based violence. So GBV takes several forms, from manipulation, like he said, to physical, to emotional, to verbal, you know, to sexual assault, to rape itself. So there are different forms of gender. Even online, yes, all this talking, deep fake videos. There are several types of gender-based violence.
Okay. So from that story, it's like the girl was from the village and she moved into the town. So is it like it's only people who are like, you know, uneducated or people from like, you know, poor backgrounds that are being sexually assaulted or experience gender-based violence?
Oh wow, no, it's far from that. You know, statistic has it that in every 3 women you see, 1 out of them has experienced gender-based violence. So the numbers are that high. So it's not relegated to people in the village. Even a lot of wealthy people are also experience gender-based violence. But you know, like we said, nobody wants to be tagged as, oh, this is the lady that this thing happened to, or this is the man that this thing happened to. So we all tend to pretend that everything is okay. Meanwhile, in reality, it's not okay.
Yeah, and in addition to what she said, we can't say GBV only happens in the village or it happens to only the educated people. Everyone can be affected. Yes, it's at risk of gender-based violence, irrespective of where you are from, whether you're from the city or you are from the village, whether you are educated or you are uneducated. Everyone can be a victim of gender-based violence.
Okay, there's this also myth that I've heard of a lot of times that maybe it's the way you were dressed, that's why you were being raped. So is it that normally the survivors are the one who provoked their victims to, or maybe the way they put them, situations they put themselves made them to be, you know, abused or something?
To debunk that particular myth, we've heard a lot about that oh, it's the way the survivors dressed, which was what provoked the victims. And then people ask the question, what of a child that was wearing pampers? What was attractive to the perpetrator? Was it the pampers? Is it the chubby cheeks? What part of the child's body was revealing enough to attract you to rape a 2-month-old baby, a 3-month-old baby? And then statistics also shows that even in the Arab states where women dress decently, the number of assaults there is quite high. So it has nothing to do with what the survivor was wearing, what time the survivor was outside, who the survivor was with. GBV is something that cannot be attributed to physical things. It's a personal thing. This person just wanted to commit this act. It has nothing to do with the survivor.
Well, for someone to actually want to, you know, abuse a child, I don't think the person is, you know, I don't think the person is okay. Maybe can taking alcohol or abusing drugs contribute to GBV?
We can't say substance abuse can be the root cause of the case or of the GBV. But we know substance abuse can escalate at the level of violence, but it's never the root cause. The responsibility actually lies with the perpetrator's behavior, not the substance. Yes.
Okay. For a survivor now, how would they cope? Like, I know, now you have reported the case, but living that toxic relationship is always not going to be easy. Or people believe it's easy to just when you tell someone who I'm being abused, and it's just to leave the marriage. Like, people don't think of the psychological. This is the one that will be paying your bills or something like that.
Living challenging relationship is not easy. Actually, it is very complex. Maybe you have been living with your husband for 15 years. He has been taking care of all your bills, and then for the period of that time, he has been abusing you, something like that. So for the wife now to just wake up one day and say, I'm leaving the marriage or something like that, I think that's very complex, because so many issues is attached to that, ranging from safety concerns. Maybe when she left him, that maybe he'll threaten her that if you leave me, I'll kill you or something like that. And financial dependence too. For 15 years, he has been taking care of her, paying her bills and everything, and then suddenly he started abusing her, and then you think just one day she can wake up and say, no, I'm done with this. Actually, it's not that simple, because living an abusive relationship is very complex.
Okay, so I'm going to be speaking from a female point of view. We know that women are emotional beings and they get attached. So it's like he said now, woman is in a relationship for 15 years. Probably this is her first man, the first man that she has ever been with. He's the only definition of a man that she knows. She trusts him, he's supporting her, he's providing for her, he's doing everything, and they have children together. So there are several factors she has to consider in order to come to a conclusion of leaving a marriage. Abuse takes stages. The man doesn't just, you don't think the man just beats her, locks her up. He will beat her, lock her up. Tomorrow he will come back with gifts, flowers. He will beg. Like they said, they are being groomed to accept that the life that they are living is normal. Like, you see some women that, my husband beat me because I burnt the food. He wouldn't have beat me if I didn't burn the food. Do you understand? Their mind has been conditioned that, you did something wrong, therefore you deserve a punishment. So there are some people that live like this. So it will take a whole lot of, shredding of all the manipulation that they've been through for them to realize that, I am enough. I can take care of myself. I can go out there and hustle. I can do this. I don't really need this person in my life. To make them feel like they have an esteem that they need to protect. Most of these women that are in abusive relationships, they feel like they don't have, without this person, they are nothing. So it's very, very difficult for women, like I said, speaking from a female point of view, to live abusive relationships.
Okay, that's very detailed. Thank you. But there's also another myth of that GBV is only prevalent in some particular communities or culture. Is that true?
No. Let me speak to this. This is never true. If you look at statistics of GBV, GBV is a global issue. It happens in every society. It happens in every continent of the world. You cannot just say GBV only happens in Africa, or GBV only happens in West Africa, or in a particular religion. Every religion faces problems of gender-based violence. So GBV is a global issue. It happens in every part of the world, looking at the statistics.
And it should be tackled as a global issue.
Yeah. And when tackling it, we should tackle it as a global issue, not a regional issue.
Okay, thank you very much. We have come to the end of this Debunking the Myths series for our 16th day of activism. Before we close, is there anything you guys can share with us, words of encouragement to all our viewers?
Okay, what we only say is we we always want to say this, and we always say this. Please, if anyone experiences any form of gender-based violence, feel free to report it. Keeping it hidden only augments or escalates the level of violence. Keeping it hidden only increases the level of gender-based violence cases in the world. So please, we are urging you, anyone that happens to experience any form of gender-based violence, feel free to report it. Keeping it hidden is what increases the level of violence.
Alright, and I would say in our fight against GBV, everybody has a role to play. We should cultivate the right environment that our loved ones can come to us with their problems. Don't be judgmental. A person is telling you this is what they face. Don't try to put the blame on them. Have a listening ear, support your friends, care for your family members, and please, if you have any questions or maybe any myth that you've heard of that we didn't address in this discussion, feel free to reach out to us via direct messages or drop a comment under this video, and we'll be answering your questions. And if you are a GBV survivor who is looking for an avenue to report a case or to speak to someone, you can always reach out to us. Kindly send a DM to us and we'll be responding to you too. We care about you. Please stay safe. Thank you.